everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my May reading journal setup. I had a really hard time coming up with a theme I wanted to do this month, and I almost didn't even make this video because my inspiration just wasn't there. I even flip-flopped between a few different themes before finally landing on this cherry theme. Just nothing felt right, but thankfully this theme came together and I really like the way it turned out. By the way, I took inspiration from Pinterest for all of these spreads. So for this title page, I started with the title in the middle. I decided on a kind of funky block letter font for all the spreads. It just felt like it really fit in with this theme. Then I drew a bunch of cherries in the middle of the page, staying in the parameters of this penciled in rectangle I drew in beforehand that I later erased. I also drew in little circles and dots around the cherries on all the spreads as well, just to kind of give it a little extra flair, I guess. The color scheme for this theme is pretty simple. Obviously the cherries are red, so I chose this really nice red shade that I think works really well for cherries, and then I took a darker red shade that I also use for other things throughout the later spreads as well to create a shadow on all the cherries, and then obviously I colored in the stems with a light green color. I then chose a darker green for all of the titles in the spreads. I really love the way this page turned out. I love having the cherries going from the top of the page to the bottom and then they're only in the middle. I've never really done a title page like this before, but it turned out really, really nicely and I'm super happy with it. Moving on to my calendar spread, I use this spread to mainly keep track of when I upload videos throughout the month, but also any exciting events or releases happening throughout the month. So for this month, I decided to draw out individual boxes for each day of the month. Originally, I was going to color in each box with a color, but then I thought that might be too overwhelming with everything else going on in the spread, so I'll try that in a different theme eventually. So I wrote May at the top of the spread in the same font from the title page, and then filled in the rest of the empty space around the calendar with the cherry drawings. I was also having a lot of struggles with my micron pen for these spreads when I'm outlining all the cherries. I used a new marker this month and I pressed down a little bit too hard on it and I kind of bent the tip of the pen, so it wasn't cooperating too well. So if you see me struggling with that throughout these spreads, just ignore it, it's fine. It worked out in the end. You'll notice in my final flip through at the end that I ended up adding more cherries along the right side and at the bottom because it really felt like it was missing something, and I'm really glad that I did that. I also went back in and added little white highlights to all the cherries, which you'll also see in the flip through. I honestly don't think I have anything super exciting going on in May. Sasha Alex Sloan is releasing a new album, which I'm really excited for. She's an artist that I've loved for a few years now, and I've been loving all of the singles she's been releasing recently. But yeah, I'm just coloring in all the cherries with the same red color, coloring in the stems in the nice light green, did the same dark green for the title, and then I do take the dark green from the title and the dark red color that I use to make the shadows on the cherries, and I use that to do the days of the week, and then I also did it to color in each number on the days throughout the month. Yeah. Overall, I really love how this spread turned out, but I love it even more in the final flip through, so make sure you stay tuned for that at the end. But I'm just going to let you guys enjoy me filling out the rest of the spread with the music, and I'll see you guys for the next spread. Then we have my days read, days written spread, which I obviously use to keep track of what days I'm reading and writing throughout the month. So at the top, I wrote out the titles again in the same funky block letter font. and then I drew out the boxes for each day of the month on both sides, which is always so satisfying to watch in the time lapse. I say this every month, but this is always my favorite spread to use throughout the month, but usually my least favorite to set up every month. Thankfully though, this theme made the spread pretty easy because I was able to just scatter the cherries along the bottom of the page, which filled the space up quite nicely. It didn't require too much thought or planning, which I really appreciated, especially considering my inspiration was running so low this month. April was honestly a bit of a flop for me in both the reading and the writing department. I only finished 3 books and only wrote for like 3 days, I think. I ended up getting sick and having a lot of other things to deal with, so unfortunately reading and writing took a backseat and I didn't utilize this spread as much as I wanted to last month. So hopefully this month will go a lot better. I'll use this spread and we'll have lots of days where I read and lots of days where I write. Overall, I really like how this spread turned out as well. I think it's super cute and I look forward to using it all month. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about this spread. I do all the same colors that I've been doing in the previous ones. So again, I'm just gonna let you enjoy the music, enjoy watching me fill the spread out, and I will talk to you guys in the next spread. Next we have my TBR, or my to be read spread. I decided on doing just 1 page for the TBR this month because I didn't have a huge list of books to read, so I didn't feel like I needed a whole spread, and honestly a few of them are books from my TBR last month that I didn't get to and I still need to read. But again, I just did the same font for the title at the top and wrote out TBR, and then filled the bottom of the spread up with the cherry drawings, and in the middle I wrote down all the books that I want to read. So some books on my TBR for this month that I'm really excited for are Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I read about half of Six of Crows in April but didn't finish it, so I carried it into May. I actually finished it already and I'm almost done with Crooked Kingdom, and the vlog for these books should be out soon, so make sure to look out for that. I'm also really excited to read Emily Henry's new book, Funny Story. It was released closer to the end of April and I didn't get my hands on it I think until a few days before May, so I didn't have time to read it last month. I think I'm actually going to read it this weekend and I literally cannot wait. I am so excited. I also can't wait to read the Besties and Books book club pick this month, which is Stay With My Heart by Tasha Bouillon. So we have lots of exciting books to read this month. Let me know what books you plan to read down below because I'd really love to know. But overall this spread is just simple, it's cute, I'm really excited to read these books. Then on the other side we have my monthly favorite spread. The setup for this spread is typically the same every month, with 3 rectangular boxes staggered across the page. I wrote out faves at the top of the page because this font is quite chunky, so I didn't have a lot of room to write out a whole lot, so I figured just writing faves would be a lot safer than trying to write out favorites. It's also just easier. And then in the empty spaces between the boxes is where I drew the cherries, and I really like how that looks. So I always track my favorite books, my favorite movies and TV shows, and my favorite songs throughout the month. And while I set this up, I thought I'd share some of my favorites from April. I didn't really have any favorite books, unfortunately, due to my lack of reading, but I did watch some fun things. I rewatched The Fosters, which is one of my favorite shows, and I also rewatched The Secret Life of the American Teenager, which is honestly a hot mess, and it's not great, but it's almost so bad it's good. It's honestly my guilty pleasure show at the moment, and it's taken over my life. But as for music, obviously Taylor Swift released the Tortured Poets department, so that's pretty much all I've been listening to recently, and some favorites off of that are the Black Dog, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, and The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. But yeah, I love how this spread turned out. I think it's super adorable, and I cannot wait to fill it out throughout the month. And then we move on to my books read spread, which I also only decided to do 1 page for, considering my flop of a reading month in April, but I still wanted to make sure I had plenty of room to write out the books that I do read this month, especially since I am hoping to have a better reading month than April, so I try to keep the title pretty small at the top and made sure the cherries along the bottom of the page didn't take up too much space, so hopefully I won't run out of room by the end of the month to write out the books I read. But yeah, this spread looks really simple right now, but it's gonna look much nicer when I fill it out with all the books that I read this month. Then on the next page we have my writing goals spread. For this one I again did the title up at the top, and then I continued the cherry design along the bottom of the page from the books read spread. Despite not writing for many days last month, I surprisingly actually did pretty well with my goals. So this month's goals are all revolving around my project What You Mean to Me. I sent it out to beta readers last month, and I have their feedback now, so I need to review all of their feedback from draft 3, brainstorm and come up with a revision plan, and then start working on draft 4. It might be a little bit ambitious, but hopefully I'll be able to check everything off by the end of the month. And this spread is again just simple, it's cute, we like it. And finally, the last spread is one that I haven't done in such a long time, but it is my revision tracker. I used to do these a lot, but for some reason I keep forgetting to do it, so I'm glad I'm finally bringing it back. Basically, I just have the project's acronym at the top, WIMTIM, and then I wrote draft 4 in a simple font below it, and then I drew out a box for each of the chapters in my book, numbering them from 1 through 58, and I know that seems like a lot of chapters, but my chapters do tend to skew on the shorter side, so it's really not that bad. But then at the bottom I drew out the same cherry design that I've been doing throughout these past few spreads to fill out the bit of empty space there. For some reason I have one colored micron pen, and it just so happened to be the perfect shade of light green. So I took that and I scribbled out a CH at the top of each box for each chapter, and I think it turned out so cute, and it looks way nicer than just doing a black micron pen. I'm obsessed. I truly cannot wait to use this spread, and I'm really hoping it motivates me to get those revisions done. I don't think I'll be able to do all 58 chapters this month, but they're all drawn out just in case, and I guess we'll see what happens. But I love this spread. I'm so excited about it. And that brings us to the final flip through. Like I said, you'll be able to see the small changes I made, like the white highlights on all the cherries and adding more cherries on the calendar spread. Despite not feeling inspired at all to do my journal this month, this theme has actually turned out to be one of my favorites I've done so far this year, so I hope you like it as well. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, comment and let me know what theme you did in your journal for this month, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!